Hey everyone, today is May 22nd, 2024. Welcome again to a short video courtesy of investingsuccess.ca. As I've intimated in several of my videos and in much of my writing, cycles can be measured in many different ways. We can take a look at something like the lunar cycle, the moon going around the 12 signs of the zodiac. We can even take a look at more sophisticated cycles using Fourier mathematics and an algorithm called the periodogram. And that will help us to delineate the predominant cycles in a price chart of a stock or a commodity or an index. Now, the question that I get very often is, how did W.D. Gann, back in his day, measure cycles? The whole purpose of this brief video is to explore one of the ways in which Gann measured cycles. He very likely used the synodic cycles of planets, especially Venus and Mars, and he may potentially have used Jupiter as well. So, what is a synodic cycle, you ask? Well, very simply, it is the time that it takes for the sun in the zodiac wheel to go from being conjunct a planet to again being conjunct that same planet. So, for example, in the zodiac wheel, using geocentric astrology, that is, from our position here on Earth, we can see that there is a Sun-Venus synodic cycle that takes 584 days to unfold. We can see that there is a synodic cycle of Sun and Mars that takes 780 days to play itself out. And there is a synodic cycle of Sun and Jupiter that takes 399 days. So now, we're going to take a look at each of these synodic cycles, and we're going to pretend that we are W.D. Gann, and we are going to analyze these cycles as he most likely would have back in his day. So the first thing we have to understand is that Gann was a proponent of dividing measurements into 1/8 and 1/3. So knowing this, we can take these synodic cycle lengths and we can divide them into 8 parts, and we can divide them into 1/3 parts. And once we have that, then we're in a position to apply that to a price chart of a stock, an index, or a commodity. And so I've basically done the math here for you. So let's say we have a measurement and we want to divide it into equal parts of 8. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, all the way up to 8/8. Well, if you take 1/8 of something, that's basically 12.5%. 2/8 is a quarter, or 25%. 3/8 is 37.5%. 4/8, half, 50%. 5/8 is 62.5%. 6/8 is 3/4, 75%. 7/8 is 87.5%. And of course, 8/8 is 1, or 100%. Now, if you divide something into thirds, 1/3 is 33.3%. 2/3 is 66.6%. 3/3 is, of course, 100%. So now we're going to take these percentages and we're going to apply them to the number of days in these synodic cycles. So, for example, the planet Mars, which we know takes 780 days to complete its synodic cycle. At 12.5%, a 1/8 interval is 97.5 days. 25% of that Mars cycle is 195 days. And you can see the rest of the numbers in the table that I've put on this particular slide. And at the bottom here, if you were to take that Mars cycle and divide it into thirds, 1/3, or 33.3% of the Mars cycle would be 259.7 days. 66.6, or 2/3 of the Mars cycle, would be 519.4 days. And of course, the whole thing is 780 days. So write these numbers down, and you're going to then be able to apply these to a price chart that you have printed off for your favorite stock or an index that you like to follow. For Venus, we know that the entire Venus cycle is 584 days. And so 12.5% of that is 73 days. 1/4, or 25% of that Venus cycle, is 146 days, and so on. In terms of the 1/3 divisions, 1/3 of the Venus cycle is 195 days. 2/3 of the Venus cycle, or 66.6%, is 388 days. Now, in terms of Jupiter, we know that the entire Jupiter synodic cycle is 399 days. And so 50 days is 12.5%. 1/4 of that Jupiter cycle is 100. 3/4 of the Jupiter cycle is 300 days. And again, write these numbers down because you'll be able to apply them to any stock chart that you are studying. And you'll be able to think like W.D. Gann, and when these intervals are overlaid onto a stock chart, you are going to start to see some very interesting correlations. Now you have to remember a couple things. You're going to start applying these things from a very significant high or a very significant low. And you may have to apply several of these 780 or 584 day cycles. You may have to do several of them back to back to back to cover a broad enough time span from when the stock or the index or the commodity made its significant high or significant low. So to give you an illustration, here is Bitcoin, and I've started to apply Bitcoin, or rather I've started to apply the Mars cyclical intervals to Bitcoin, and I started back in June of 2023 at a significant low. And you can see that in September of 2023, at the 97.5 day increment, it aligned again to a very significant low. And if we advance to the middle of December 2023, at the 195 day interval, we can see again that it's not really a significant high or low, but it's rather a pause in what had been a fairly decent little run higher. And if we advance a little bit more, we come to February of 2024. That's a 259 day interval. And look what happened shortly after that in February of 2024. It was like a springboard. All of a sudden, at this, let's call it what it is, a Gann planetary interval, Bitcoin just exploded like a Titan spring. It just boom, and next thing you know, it's over $70,000 per coin. It couldn't continue moving much higher, and it actually retreated into March of 2024. But then it decided to bounce back again. And as it did, it actually made a V-bottom inflection point at the 292-day portion of that entire Mars synodic cycle. So what does the future portend? 25th of June, next month, I am showing that there is a 390 day interval of the overall Mars synodic cycle. This could simply be a pause in the price action. It could turn out to be a significant high. It could turn out to be a swing low. We don't know. But we do know that something's going to happen potentially on the 25th of June. So knowing that, you're going to be watching Bitcoin just to see what the trend is doing and which way price is moving. Now here's another one. This is a chart of gold futures, and I've overlaid these various cycles starting back in 2015. So I've had to overlay, quite a number of them back to back to back to back in order to get up into the 2023-2024 time frame. But here's what's interesting. If you look at the right-hand side of the chart, September 2023, lo and behold, there is a 511-day fraction interval of the overall Venus synodic cycle. Look what happened literally the day after this cyclical interval registered. Price of gold tumbled. And then it rallied again, and in early December 2023, we hit a 584-day increment and the end of a complete synodic cycle. Well, look what gold did. Registered again a little inflection reversal, nothing serious. And then we start a brand new synodic cycle. And the first increment on that Venus cycle is the 73-day interval. And look what happened literally 2 days after that. The price of gold just takes off like a scared rabbit, and it starts running from, $2,000 an ounce up to $2,400. Now, it hit $2,400 in April, just recently, couldn't hold, and it started to retreat, and it recorded a 146-day fraction of the overall Venus synodic cycle. And a handful of days later, it formed a V bottom, and we've been rallying, and we're threatening to potentially make some new highs here. But look what we have coming. 13th of June, we have a Venus 195-day increment. So according to Gann, that is 33.3% of the overall Venus 584-day synodic cycle. So look for something potentially to happen in the middle of June with regards to gold. Maybe it goes on from here and makes an even greater high and then has a turning point. Maybe from here we decline into the middle of June. I don't know. You have to watch the trend indicators on your charts. But then as these dates draw near, see what the trend indicators are telling you and make some decisions. And of course, Nasdaq is very much in the news again. The market, is trying to broaden out away from these heavyweight tech stocks, but I think this whole AI tech thing is here to stay for quite a while. Now, I have looked at Nasdaq through the lens of the Mars 780-day cycles. I've looked at Nasdaq through the lens of the Venus 584-day cycles. And my metric for success is I asked myself, from a starting point in late 2021, when Nasdaq made a significant high and reversed, from that point, if we project the fractions of the Venus cycles and the Mars cycles, do any of those fractions happen to land even remotely close to the October 2022 low or the October 2023 swing low. In the case of Venus and Mars, neither of them had any correlation to October 2022 or October 2023. So I said they don't work. Got to be something else. And that something else happens to be Jupiter. And so you can see at the left-hand side of the chart, there's a Jupiter 300-day fraction of the overall 399-day synodic cycle. And look what happened in October of 2023. Literally 4 days. 4 days after that 300-day interval, bang, Nasdaq made a swing low, and from there it rallied and took off running hard. It was running so hard that it didn't really do much. Well, I guess you could argue in December of 23 it kind of paused there for a few days and then it just surged again. It took a little bit of a breather in late January, and that's when we started a new Jupiter cycle and a new set of increments. And you can see in mid to late March, Jupiter was at a 50-day, like a 12.5% increment of its overall 399-day synodic cycle. Where did that come? Yeah, literally 2 days before Nasdaq made a significant peak and rolled over and sold off into April. Now, since bottoming in April, equity markets have been pushing and moving higher. We recently blew through the 100-day fraction of the Jupiter synodic cycle with not too much fanfare. What's going to happen next? June the 10th is going to be a 33% fraction of the overall Jupiter synodic cycle. So is something going to happen on June the 10th? Maybe. You need to watch the trend indicators on your charts. You need to see which way the trend is going and what it wants to do. And you may have to just sit back and do nothing. Maybe the price will blow right through that interval. Then again, there could be a bit of a reversal, but the trend indicators will certainly tell you that. Now, what else can I tell you? If you're going to apply this at home, you have to configure your chart in terms of calendar days. So if you look in this slide, you'll see that I have a segment of a chart here with a blue arrow in it. And that blue arrow is pointing at 2 dashes. Those dashes are Saturday and Sunday. So this is how you have to configure your charts, because these synodic cycles of Mars and Venus and Jupiter, they don't take a rest on Saturdays and Sundays. They keep right on going. And so your chart has to be made to accommodate that. Now, I'm using a software called Optima, which with a click of a mouse, I can reconfigure my charts to take into account the weekends. If you cannot do that, then not a problem. From a significant high or significant low, you're going to have to use a good old-fashioned calendar, and you're going to have to count out these various fractional increments of these synodic cycles. And you're going to have to then find on your otherwise not adjusted price chart, you're going to have to find when the particular calendar day aligns to a particular price bar. But hopefully, to make your life easy, you can reconfigure your chart to account for the weekend pauses and the gaps. And knowing what the 1/8 fractions are of the Venus and the Mars and the Jupiter cycles, you can start to apply them to your chart. And you can take those same Venus, Mars, and Jupiter cycles, divide them into thirds, and apply those increments to a chart. And you will be most likely quite enamored with what you see. And you have to view all of that through the lens then of something like a slow stochastic, a true strength index, some sort of a trend following indicator. And that is how I believe Gann did it. Now, he didn't have things like stochastics and true strength indexes at his fingertips back in his day, but he would have been looking at the price bars, and he probably had some rules to more or less indicate to him if and when the actual trend was changing. All right, so thank you kindly for watching this brief little video. You know where to find me. You know what I write about. You know what I've got out there. I'm going to be coming at you here in the next while with a few more ideas on how Gann measured cycles. And my goal in all of this is to share this with you, and I want to make sure that this stuff is preserved and passed on to future generations and not lost. So thanks again for watching, and have yourselves a pleasant day. Take care.